Parts of this video have disturbing content and images, including discussions about hate, death, and suicide. The World Trade Center in Manhattan was a collection of buildings around a central plaza. It was most famous for its huge twin towers and made a distinctive mark on the New York City skyline. The taller of the two towers was 1,368 feet tall and opened in April of 1973. On September 11, 2001, a plane was crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m., killing all 92 people on board. At 9:03 a.m., another plane was crashed into the South Tower, killing all 65 people on board. At 9:37 a.m., yet another plane was crashed into the Pentagon, killing all 59 passengers and crew. Finally, when Flight 93 was hijacked, the passengers revolted and managed to crash the plane into a field in Pennsylvania. It is believed that the target for this plane was the United States Capitol building. Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and the plane crash in Pennsylvania. Of those nearly 3,000 people, 400 were police officers and firefighters. This attack resulted in the largest loss of life by a foreign attack on American soil. Only 18 people were pulled out alive from the wreckage. This was not the first time that the World Trade Center experienced a terrorist attack. In February of 1993, a bombing killed 6 people. The rescue and cleanup of the 9/11 attack took 9 months and required the removal of 9 tons of wreckage from the World Trade Center site, but it would take much longer for the country to heal. After the attack, the sitting president, George W. Bush, announced a global war on terror, which included the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Bush said, "The attack took place on American soil, but it was an attack on the heart and soul of the civilized world, and the world has come together to fight a new and different war, the first, and we hope the only one of the 21st century, a war against all those who seek to export terror and a war against those governments that support or shelter them." In 2002, President George W. Bush and Secretary of State Colin Powell addressed the United Nations regarding the dangers of Saddam Hussein's regime and its refusal to disarm their weapons of mass destruction. The cost of the global war on terror is disheartening. Over 40,000 people have died in the post-9/11 wars due to direct war violence. An estimated 3.6 to 3.8 million people have died indirectly. Over 432,000 civilians have been killed as a result of the fighting, and there are 38 million war refugees. The literal cost to the United States is over $8 trillion. At least 4 times as many active duty personnel and war veterans of post-9/11 conflicts have died of suicide rather than in combat. Furthermore, the wars have been accompanied by violations of human rights and civil liberties in the United States and abroad. Islamophobia is anti-Muslim sentiment that grew exponentially post-9/11. A significant portion of the Muslim population no longer feels respect from the people of the United States and other Western countries. This is due in part to a difference in culture, religion, and politics between Muslims and Western civilization. Prejudice has become a problem for their community since the attack on the United States by a select group of Islamic fundamentalists on 9/11. There was a spike in hate crimes against Muslim Americans after the attack, and with the events in Gaza today, the hate is resurfacing again. With Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, the world has watched a unique response from the Ukrainians that veers away from the violence of the global war on terrorism. They have armed their regular citizens to patrol and protect the country. Even the unarmed citizens are thwarting the invasion by changing the road signs, blocking tanks, and confronting the Russian military. Their actions, while nonviolent, are making it hard on the invaders. The Iraq War was an armed conflict between a United States-led coalition force against the regime of Saddam Hussein from 2003 to 2011 as part of the global war on terror. The Gulf War was a conflict between Iraq and 42 other countries from 1990 to 1991 it was concluded with the Gulf War settlement, in which Iraq agreed to weapons inspections by the United Nations and to abide by a no-fly zone. By 2002, Saddam Hussein had defied both parts of this agreement. In January of 2002, President George W. Bush placed Iraq with Iran and North Korea in the axis of evil, and by November, the United Nations warned of serious consequences if Iraq did not offer unrestricted access to UN weapons inspectors. Iraq refused, and it was strongly believed that they were amassing weapons of mass destruction. The United States, Australia, Denmark, the Netherlands, Poland, and Great Britain launched Operation Iraqi Freedom, and by May of 2003, the war was still far from over. In December of 2003, Saddam Hussein was captured and sentenced to death for crimes against humanity, and the sentence was carried out in December of 2006. In a move known as the Surge, the United States increased the number of troops sent to Iraq in 2007. It wasn't until December 18, 2011, that the United States completely withdrew its military forces from Iraq that started in 2009 under President Obama.